Today I'm going to be walking you through the process that I used to create this stone. So first I primed this heart with white gesso and I did the green first, just kind of slowly working over. I got a different paintbrush and did the pink moving over. I actually had to do this a couple of times before I got it right. Next, I just started my regular mandala, and the tool size that I used here on this row, I ended up using that same size for the next row. And then I just took my little needle tool that I have to kind of drag that dot out to fill in that little space in between. So this little tool, I actually have a link to it down below. And they are sold out of it a lot, so if it's not there, I promise you it will come back eventually. Next, I just picked a dot size that would fit in that space, and I just slowly worked my way around. So for the base layer of the stone, I'm using all white. And actually, if you wanted to, you can just leave it like that and let that be the finished stone because it's actually really beautiful just in all white. Next, I just kind of put those two little smaller dots there to kind of push that section out a little bit more. And then I did my bigger dot. And this is where I started to add all the swipes. So to make the swipes, I am just using a nail dotting tool. I'm just loading it up with a lot of paint and just slowly dragging the dot out and trying to keep them as symmetrical as possible. Next, I decided to fill in these big spaces with some large swipes, but what I'm doing is I'm keeping it symmetrical to each side of the stone. So I went ahead and just did one long swipe in the middle of all of these sections. Just placing a dot and then using my little needle to kind of drag that paint down. And then from there, I just kind of looked at what kind of space I had to see how many swipes I could fit in each section. So I did two large ones on these little corner sections. And here I kind of slowed it down a little bit for you so you can kind of see how I'm doing the swipes. I just loaded up with a lot of paint and then I'm just slowly dragging those out. And since that was a longer swipe, I was able to do that with a nail dotting tool and get the shape that I wanted. So here in this little section, I could only really fit 3 swipes. So that's what I just did. And I'm okay with some of that background showing because I don't want to completely cover it up. I want that pink and green to be seen. So I'm making sure to leave some space so that those colors do come through. In this section, I just kind of take my time, and on these little corner sections, I was able to go ahead and add in that little extra swipe. So I did. And you can still see how you can still see the pink and green. It's kind of peeking through everywhere. And that was kind of the point of this whole one, is to make sure that the background is being seen and go from there. So as I'm looking at this, actually right here, you can actually stop the mandala if you want. It looks pretty good. I debated if I wanted to stop it once I finished these swipes and made everything symmetrical, but I have this tendency of filling in all of the space. So I added a few more sections of swipes. So I filled in this bottom section because I decided I wanted the white part to be, instead of being more of a circle on a heart, I wanted the white mandala to be heart shaped as well. So I built out this little section, just making swipes, each little dot moving up on the swipe. I just used a smaller tool and just slowly dragged it out till I filled in the space, which then meant that I needed to go back into these corners and make a sections of swipes as well. And that will give me the heart shape that I was looking for. So as I'm doing each one going out, I'm just kind of using a smaller size tool, just kind of looking at what kind of space I had left and trying to make it as symmetrical as possible on both sides. If you're enjoying this tutorial and find it helpful, please subscribe and share with your friends. So this is the point where you can stop and just keep the mandala as is. And I'm just going to show you what this section looks like with just the white. It's really beautiful just like this. So that's always an option, but I decided to go ahead and add some top dots. in the pink and green colors that I used for the base because I really just was curious and I wanted to know what it would look like, and it kind of just gives the whole piece a very unique look, and that's what I was going for with this one. So I kind of alternated doing pink green, and on the little swipe I did not drag that dot out. I just kind of left it kind of highlighting the tip of the swipe so that way some of the white would show, because I wanted to make sure that I didn't completely cover up the white and then I left some white in the piece. So I kind of just picked and chose where I was going to do top dots and what I was going to leave white. So I decided all the big dots I was definitely going to put top dots on, except for the center one. I debated doing the center one and in the end decided not to. I did end up dragging the swipe out on the big swipes in the middle of the sections. So right here, I did decide to drag these swipes out, but that's the only swipes that I dragged out when I was doing these. The rest, I just placed dots at the very tip. So on this section, you just do how much or how little you want. I was just kind of really experimenting, kind of playing around, seeing what it would look like if I did this swipes and left the rest white, if I liked that, if I wanted to do more. I started to do some green swipes on some of these that have five, but I decided in the end to just let more of the white be seen, and so that's what I kind of went with. So just play around with it, have fun, and you can create your own unique mandala by just changing up some things. Here's the finished piece. If you like this tutorial, please subscribe, and if you have any questions, just leave them down below. Thanks, guys.